Another recap review from this weekend playtest on ESG football. This past weekend was a practice tournament run. This is my second tournament that I was able to participate in. The first tournament, I barely made it to the playoffs, getting my team back into a positive record to make the playoffs, and we got eliminated round one. For this tournament, my team done much better, as of course this team was different, and we ended up going 8-3. We did win the first round, and then the second round in the playoffs, we ended up getting eliminated. But the overall result, I'm satisfied. Made it a little bit farther this time around, and it was a fun experience. Now, the build of the game, we was playing the continuation of the previous week build, and that was with the tune-up sliders for the forced fumbles, and it was just a chaos situation. It stressed everybody out, but at the same time, it also taught a lot of, especially for new players, to cover up the ball and focus builds around players to have more carrying on their build. So that was a big plus when you take a look at it, but at the same time, the fumbles just happen way too often, and of course it stressed a lot of players out. But at the same time, when you look back at it, a lot of people didn't really focus on the builds that have high carrying, so this was kind of like a practice run for that in a way. The next tournament will be in 2 weeks, so the following week from now will be another tournament run and possibly be down compared to what we had this past weekend from 7 vs 7 to 4v4. Now, for this weekend, I believe we're going back to 4v4. Unsure at the moment. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But this weekend, we are implementing another load of players, brand new players, to come on board for the PlayStation 5 closed beta. So they are still continuing to add new players every so often, or every week that is. So on May 2nd, we are going to be having new players come on board, which is going to be Friday. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, basically the same routine. OGs will be able to play. Now, this past Friday where we implemented new players, OGs kind of helped out on Friday, so they may implement some of the OGs to be able to play on Friday just to help out with the new players and to kind of take the stress off of the devs, because of course they're trying to handle with new players, getting them in, answering questions. So having the OGs kind of be implemented on that day as well is a good way to help out the newbies, especially when it comes to the gameplay, helping them out with the builds and much more. So I'm looking forward to that happening again. Now, when it comes to tournament play, everybody's locked in, competitive, and it gets to a emotional roller coaster. But this is what ESG is looking forward into when it comes to competition, because they want to make this game a esports game. So having these tournament prize events to go down, they love to see these reactions. Like, the amount of trash talking that went down this past weekend was absolutely crazy, but that's expected when you get into these type of tournaments. Now, aside from that, of course, we had to deal with all the issues and bugs. That's why we're also playtesting and giving feedback. But man, you love to see these type of things, especially in this type of sports game for football. And it just brings a whole new atmospheric feeling. And the thing about this is uncompared, because it's all based off individual players, right? So you can get exposed individually and get called out. You can never say that you're better than everybody else individually, because it takes a team effort. There's certain teams that can make one player stand out. Like, if you're great at running the ball and have great blocking, well, of course, the running back's going to stand out the most. So that's what it comes down to when it comes to people individualizing themselves, having a big ego, saying that they're good, but when they're put on a different team that doesn't block so well, for example, like the run game, like I said, if you don't have great blocking, then of course the running back's not going to shine. But when you do have great blocking, the running back's going to shine. So it's come down to that type of stuff when it comes to the competition, trash talking, exposing. So it's just a whole different experience when it comes to what ESG football is presenting to us. So when it comes down to the individual showcase, it's going to absolutely show in your matches, depending on how the team is, the team chemistry, the team communication. Like I said before, you cannot take over a game by yourself. It doesn't happen without a great team. Now, I want to get back into the tournament results now, just for the tournament start, getting the team situated. So, the stream team ended up being team captains for their teams because we had implemented more players. There was a ton of players that was able to participate. Now, in the setup for this, I wasn't expecting the devs to be a full team. I thought they was going to do the same thing like they done last time. The devs is going to be separated, have their own teams, along with the stream team captains to have their own teams. I was not expecting the devs to team up and go all the way and win the championship. So yes, the devs won the championship, but what's crazy is that there has been a few teams that end up being devs in the regular season, which happened on Saturday. Just like my team, we was able to beat them. So it was the best of three. We was able to sweep the devs. And what's shocking is that we also swept the team that ended up being in the championship. So that basically goes to show that no matter what happens, even though you swept the two teams that was able to compete in the championship, anybody could have made it to the championship. So no matter what happens, if you start off terrible, you always have a chance to make it all the way. To make it more crazier is that there was an undefeated team which I thought they was going to go all the way and win it all, and they end up getting eliminated in the playoffs. So that type of stuff can happen in the tournament. Now, I told you guys there was going to be a money prize tournament. I thought it was going to be this tournament, but it was a practice run getting ready for the money prize tournament. I believe it would be the next one, but still they can change up on that. I think they're waiting on the things that's going to be coming, especially for 11 versus 11. I think that's when they're going to have, some crazy events going down. But yes, there would be a money prize event. I believe it would be on the next tournament, but I will keep you guys posted and updated on that. So make sure you guys follow my social media accounts. Now, ESG football is still continuing to take participants. Like I said, we're adding more members this week. Not sure how many, but they have been adding a ton. Now, if you guys still want to get your hands-on experience and help out, give feedback, report issues so we can push out this game earlier than expected and get it out to everybody to have fun and play, make sure you guys come through, apply for the ESG Football PlayStation 5 closed beta. All you gotta do is check out the links down below in the description, which I will have a link to the Discord waiting room where you guys can join and follow all the instructions there. I also have the application link as well through the website. You guys can invite anybody that you know, invite your friends to this, and all you gotta do is go through the information, read, understand, comprehend what you're reading, sign the NDA, and pass the questionnaire. By passing the questionnaire, lets ESG know that you understand everything that you have read through, and you're going to be a valid participant to be able to participate in this closed beta. So not only you're able to enjoy this experience and enjoy the game as we progress through all the issues and continue to improve upon the game and see all the new features being added and things that we can, give feedback on and things that we want, because they're looking at that type of stuff to also include into the game over time. But with your guys' help, giving feedback and reporting issues, it's a 50-50 deal. So they let you guys participate and get into these events to win prize money. And with that, they all they want is basically just to help give feedback on issues that you end up finding on every build that they continue to release for us to test. So if you guys got any questions, comment down below or direct message me on any of my social media accounts. You guys simply surpassed the previous goal, which was 5,000 members. We're currently at 6,751. Let's try to get this up to 10,000 members. We're trying to get a ton of people in these beta test sessions. So please go apply right now. Anyways, heading into the next week or this current week playtest session, the build of a game, what are they implementing as a feature? And this is a game changer. I mentioned this in my previous video. I'm going to showcase it once again. Here is a breakdown of a representation using college football 25 to showcase what they're going to be implementing in ESG football. So take a look. So for defensive players, they're implementing basically this defensive player awareness. So you guys take a look at this play in college football 25. Not the play in general, but of course based off the assignments, right? So if you got a zone coverage or man coverage, this is how it's going to be dictating the player awareness field of view. So imagine this, you're using your mod player, you're locked on to your player like a linebacker or a DB, right? So you guys take a look at this play. It shows that I'm assigned with, playing this player because he's coming into my zone coverage. So basically in ESG football, depending on your player's build of a certain rating, which is going to be, your awareness to see the field, right? You're going to have this like view of sight. So of course, if you have high awareness field of view rating, you're going to be able to see all the skill players going out for a pass. And then if it's lower, you're going to have a smaller diameter radius, which is going to be focusing on probably these two players within your field of view range. And then of course, if it's absolutely terrible, you're probably just going to be focused within this radius that you have just around you. So when you're trying to lurk around, you can't see other players outside of this area that you're in unless somebody enters your diameter circle radius, then you're going to be able to see that player. So let me go ahead and explain and showcase a little bit more of how this actually works. So basically, when you're playing coverage, you're going to be able to see every single time anything behind the line of scrimmage. So you're going to see your pass rushers pass rushing, interacting with the blocks, engaging with the linemen, right? You're going to see the quarterback. So anything behind the line of scrimmage like you guys see here. Now, so of course, if you're in zone, somebody comes within your area, you're going to see him within your radius circle, right? Or if you're manned up, you're going to be able to see the person that you're assigned to. Now, if you don't have great player awareness field of view rating and you got nobody within like close proximity of you, you're not going to see him. So you guys see right here, that player coming into my zone, I'm not going to see him because my field of view rating is terrible. And of course, he's not close to my, radius circle where I can be able to see him. Now, of course, if he comes into your field of view, you're going to see him and you're going to be able to play him. But because he's only within your range, and this is how big your diameter of field of view rating is, you're not going to be able to see the other receivers running the routes. Basically, those players will be completely invisible. Now, of course, if this player gets outside of your zone coverage and you don't follow with him, then he will also turn invisible and you have no clue where he is at. Reason why is because your field of view awareness, right? So why is this going to be a thing in ESG football? Because it's going to limit the amount of people that you can lurk around the field and see. This is where it's going to come heavy on communication and possibly looking at your teammates and seeing how they're covering a player that you cannot see. So imagine you're playing safety, right? And you don't have like an Ed Reed field of view rating. You can't see the whole field. You just have a closed diameter circle around you. And of course, if anybody comes within your range, probably within like 5 yards, you'll be able to see them. But you guys see like right here, you won't be able to see any of the receivers. Depending on your player build, if you're heavily focused on offense and you're playing DB as your second position, well, you're going to have poor field of view vision because you have no defensive ratings that is applied to that. So you got to make sure somebody eventually crosses in your diameter circle, which is your field of view. Like you guys will see here, then the player will pop up and then you can be able to cover him. But of course, once he pops up, you may not be able to see that other invisible receiver. And of course, if you have a little bit higher overall, where you can see a little bit more field of view, probably within like 10 or 12 yards, then of course you're going to end up seeing the extra player within your radius view of range. So this is going to make a huge change on how a lot of players is going to go about building their player. They want to make sure they have a little bit of defensive coverage focusing on this rating so it can help them out to see more players around the field so they're able to cover. And if not, well, you're going to have a hard time covering anybody because you're not going to be seeing anybody running routes. So having this dynamic gameplay mechanic is really going to make a difference when it comes to people trying to cover and they're unable to cover multiple receivers at once because they're unable to see them. And this is something that I have never seen done before, and I don't think anybody else would be able to perfect it like ESG is going to perfect this. The other things that I know about that they're going to be doing for this next build is reverting back to the previous build of the sliders being tuned up for the fumbles, so it's going back to normal and probably slightly tuned up, like for especially that they wanted to focus on for the small builds to mostly fumble, especially if they don't have high carrying. So of course they are already aware and they're doing the adjustments that's needed. Also, they have fixed that passing mechanics. There's times where you're passing the ball and it just doesn't register to throw the ball at times. So they do have that fix and much more. Stay tuned for more updates as I keep you guys updated anything about ESG football, especially when it comes to the newer version builds for playtesting. Other than that, once again, check out the links down below in the description to join the beta room Discord for ESG football and apply. The next playtest will be going down on May 2nd through the 4th. So this Friday, newbies will be able to come in and enjoy the experience. Looking forward to playing with you guys and enjoying the game with you guys as well. Other than that, if you guys got any questions, please comment down below or hit me up through my social media accounts. And I will see you guys in the next update video. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.